All right, so let me explain what we're doing here today. I think you should all find it pretty great. Today, we are going to be going over a cover letter and resume and how to design a cover letter and resume. But this is a subject that is not always that exciting. So I was like, well, how can I make this a little bit more exciting? Well, it turns out that CLG, the company that I sold, of course, is recruiting for jobs. And I thought, what better to apply to a job than to apply to a job at CLG. Now, the job is head of player development. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a resume. In part one, I'm going to build a resume and a cover letter from the ground up. And I'm going to give you guys suggestions along the entire way of how I would do it. And then in part two, we're actually going to apply for the job. Now, there's a couple of memes here. So I'm going to be giving best practices, but at the same time, I'm also memeing a guy because the dude that is actually going to be reviewing these applications is the director of esports at CLG. This is a guy that I hired about 2 years ago or a year ago. So we know each other really well, and he doesn't know I'm doing this, and don't inform him. So I am going to meme him pretty hard throughout this entire process. But during that, I'm going to also tell you guys like what to do and what not to do on a resume. So I've helped a lot of people with stuff like this. Hopefully helped a lot of people get jobs. And yeah, it's going to be pretty funny and also pretty great. So that's what we're doing. Any questions on that yet? So the job is for the head of player development. Here it is. Yes, this will, of course, be on YouTube. In fact, many of you will be watching YouTube right now as I say this. So let's go over what the job actually is. First of all, I think that every job that you apply for, you need to specify your application to the job in question. So you are going to see this happen throughout this entire process. I'm going to structure everything I do to try to be more effective in getting this job. I don't ever recommend, this is probably the number one piece of advice that I have, you never ever submit a generic resume with no specifics. I can't tell you how many times at CLG I would get resumes from people and they would forget to put out, they would forget to be like leave out. They'd be like, I really would love to join an esports organization like Team Liquid. And I was like, I think what you did was you copy and pasted this to 10 teams and you didn't care what was going to happen. So that happens all the time. A lot of times you get resumes. So, and just to go over a little bit of like what has happened to me, I have reviewed hundreds and hundreds of resumes and hundreds of cover letters. I've hired dozens of people for various companies. I still hire people all the time. So I know what to look for. And I also know like how to do this. And a lot of the time you would be amazed at how many people just copy and paste like a resume and then they send it in. And I think I understand the thinking around this. It's like, well, if I apply to 30 jobs, I will surely get one. But if you do a poor job at applying to 30 jobs, you'll get 0. And what I would submit and what we're going to do is we're going to work really hard to apply to say like 3 or 5 jobs. We're going to put in the time and then we'll probably get offers on every single one. I won't because this is the company that I literally sold. So, but you will through these techniques and things like that. Neat, right? So this position of head of player development is essentially a job, as far as I understand it, where this guy is going to go around to different esports teams and he's going to help them with their goals and help develop them. So this job is looking for a lot of like interpersonal skills. And I'm going to start to take notes as I read through this because I'm going to be preparing this, right? Let's see. Let's start a new notepad. And it's really important to read like what they're putting on these, because these are never like just idly written. They're always really carefully considered for the actual job, because the goal of the person on the other side is to get as close to the person that is going to do the job, shaky cam, that they can. Does that make sense? So when we would write these, or when I would write these, I actually wrote like almost all the job descriptions for CLG for 2 years. This format is mine. So I would say that Matt probably did a lot of work to figure out like what this is, and so don't ignore this. This is really important. Okay, so first of all, it's going to require, so we'll type skills, interpersonal skills. And then throughout this process, I also want to know, if possible, who is hiring. Okay, and I know that to be Matt or Trinity. And I know his Twitter. So I'm going to creep on this guy super hard. And I'm going to try to figure out what he's all about and what's important to him, right? Now, I hired this guy, so I know a lot about him. You won't have the same advantage, but in this situation, I want to learn like what he's about, right? Because I want to, he's going to be the only person reviewing this application. So something I might do at very first is I'll go to their website, right? A lot of people will do this. I think the CL Gaming, hopefully this has been updated. I pray it has. Oh, it has. Thank God. Okay, a little. Yeah, the website was god awful, but I never got around to fixing it. But we should be able to look here about, so somewhere in like a bottom like backlinked page is going to be staff. And hopefully this will give us information about who this guy is. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So we have, a lot of times on like more sophisticated websites, this is kind of CLG just like rebuilding this website from the ground up. So I'm assuming they haven't done this yet. We know this is our guy. We know that because he said this tweet, I am hiring 2 new positions, right? So this is the guy we need to talk to. And now we know that. So I did that research and I figured that out. But I can't find anything out about him. All I know is he's director of esports and he's at CLG. Okay, so I know this is the guy that I need to impress to be able to get the job. Okay. So I'm going to creep the heck out of his Twitter and figure out what he's about. Because this is, and this is the age of social media where we can do this. Okay, so what kind of person is this dude? Left the office late. I could avoid LA traffic. Blow, was I wrong? Okay, hiring for positions. Difficult weekend, but the season is far from over. Lots of work still to be done. This kind of teaches me about how he handles loss, like what's going on. Advertising merch, okay. All the hard work behind the scenes pays off. So I'm seeing like a constant theme here where he's saying hard work a lot. Okay. He tweets after every win or loss. So this dude is obviously really passionate about the game, really passionate about competition, right? So I'm going to note that too. Oops, which notepad do I want? That one. Okay. And I'm trying really hard not to cheat because I'm trying to find out anything that I know from here. Almost all of his tweets are like grinding, hard work, right? This guy's not like tweeting memes and stuff. I mean, like he retweeted someone else's meme kind of, but like that's obviously like what this dude isn't about. He's like retweeting like, so he's kind of like a business professional, looks like a professional. So I don't want to joke around with this guy that much. I want to go in hard with my skills and like figure out like what he's doing. Another person that's like maybe retweeting memes all day, you might get a totally different idea of, right? They will check, Ember in chat says they will check who is applying to. Yep. That's a very important thing. I will always background check everybody's social media and creep through it. So either don't have social media or don't post like really controversial stuff. That can disqualify you from a job right away, especially if you're young. I feel like a lot of people make this mistake and they put themselves in a place where, let's say your hiring manager is, and I'll give you a very easy example, right? Let's say your hiring manager, let's say this guy, I go here and I go, okay, every tweet this guy makes is about Trump and how he loves Trump. And then I've posted like 4 articles about how Trump sucks, right? Well, I'm going to be in trouble real quick. That guy will disqualify me just for that, right? For that personal reason. Now, one thing I'd say is you probably don't want to work for that dude. Not because he supports Trump or whatever, but because your views are opposed. So it wouldn't work anyway. What if you have a minimal presence? That's good. Well, speaking anecdotally from my hiring experience, if I saw someone with a limited social media exposure, I would just be like, oh, that person probably doesn't use social media. And that's usually a good thing. What I will say is that if you're applying for like a social media manager job, and this tilted the hell out of me because I hired a lot of social media people. So many people would be like, I'm an expert in social media. Look at this. And you'd go on their Twitter and they'd have like 100 followers. And they just, those people get shut down by like objective questions like really quick. If there's a drunk photo on Facebook, do you instantly drop them? No. It's got to be like, I would say heavy political views, heavy religious views, things that could probably damage the company. Obviously, like if you're showing up on Facebook and like you're doing crack with some friends, like, yeah, that's going to probably get you. But if you're doing like I'm out partying and getting drunk and stuff, like everybody does that stuff. Like you're not going to get disqualified from that. Pornography, like obvious stuff like that. And guys, like just don't do this. Just don't do this in general. Like if we live in a world, I don't want to digress too much on this, but it's kind of an important topic. Like we live in a world of personal branding. Everything you do is recorded pretty much, right? If you're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, everything you look at, everything you do is heavily, heavily monitored and then recorded. I can pull up, I'm already in May for this dude and just, I can see everything he said. If I see like one like red flag, that's enough to disqualify someone because this person is reviewing hundreds of applicants. It's not just for jobs though. It's also for like general reputation. Stuff comes back to haunt you and stuff. We truly live in like the George Orwellian age now, for better or worse. If you do this stuff, do it on like a not main account, right? Like since I'm at Devin Nash, I heavily consider like everything I post is me. If you are going to post pornography, only post your best stuff. Okay, so we found out a little bit about this dude. We found out that he is kind of a competitive dude and emphasizes hard work, grinding, etc. So this guy is going to really appeal to, I'm going to really appeal to this guy if I talk to him about like being on the grind, doing hard work, and if I'm really passionate about competition in esports. What if you're applying for a not so huge company without social media presence? I don't understand your question. Cool. So this is all whatever MSG bureaucracy shit, though this does tell me something. So the fact that this is here at MSG, we evaluate diversity, are looking for extraordinary employees of all backgrounds. We are an equal opportunity employer that provides equal opportunities to all employees and applicants for employment without regard to race, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity expression, national origin, citizenship, age, genetic information, disability, or veteran status. In addition to federal law requirements, we comply with all applicable state and local laws. So what does this statement tell you? Bonus points if someone figures this out. What does this statement tell you? I read everything in a job description, not just what they post for me. And while you think about that, let's see what else is going on. Head of player development will design. Ah, there we go. Whatever doesn't matter. They have an HR department. Got it. They have an HR department and they have a legal team. You are 100% correct. So that suggests a lot about the company. It means that the company is big enough to support an HR department and a legal team, right? And that has a lot of implications about the bureaucracy and the type of job you're dealing with and the type of application you have. So these guys are going to expect professional applications. They're going to expect professional people. That's what the stuff that you're going to be submitting to these guys is going to go through a team. That's what it tells you. Very good. Didn't think anybody would get it. Okay. I think it's this one. Try that. All right, so we will develop an organizational-wide approach for optimal playing, training, and scheduling. We'll make sure players are bought into and participate fully in the approach. So he wants a framework. What he wants is a framework for development of players, organization-wide. So as much as I can convince him that I can do this, I'm going to win. Okay. Face-to-face interactions. We already got interpersonal skills. Assessment for players to track progress. So he wants goal-based tracking and progress. Okay. For all levels of growth. Create systems and interventions to elicit teams' peak performance. Doesn't really mean anything. Okay. I always told him not to do that, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. Oversee day-to-day management of non-LCS teams, including assessing and supporting coaches and players. So a really good thing to do on this job application would actually be to provide the framework. Or provide an example framework, not give them the whole thing. So maybe you set out like 7 days or a month, and here's how we assess and train things. This would be a pretty serious undertaking. I don't think I'm going to do that, but I'm saying it would be a pretty good idea for a job of this caliber. We're applying to a pretty high-level position, so. Develop systems specific to team and individual development. That's the same thing. Oversee health and wellness strategy for the department. This is a crazy amount of stuff. They must be limited on budget because they're hiring for. This should really be a couple of people. The framework / like growth stuff and meeting with individual players is a full-time job in of itself. If you want to handle health and wellness as well, you need to contract that to someone. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm being a CEO. Okay, let me go back. This doesn't matter. Okay. Assist in creating relationships with players. Yep, that's good. Interpersonal skills. Seminar training to players. Recruit and hire parties. Okay, so this is really important because to the extent that we can do this, this will impress them a lot. So they want third-party training and seminars. And I assume I have a budget for this. It's not stated, but I don't think they expect us to get people for free. And then I read this, but I don't really care. The fact of the matter is that qualifications are a subjective thing. There's going to be some people that disagree with me on this, and I have to use my personal experience to fight it and the experience of all hires that I've ever talked to. The fact of the matter is that, like, preferred qualifications, master and PhD in higher end psychology, sociology, kinesiology, exercise science, relevant degree, 4 years experience, whatever. I just apply for whatever the heck I want. I always encourage people to apply for whatever the heck they want, regardless of qualifications. Whether you're there or not, if you show that you can build the framework and if you can build if you can meet the need and solve the problem that the job is being posted for, you will get the job. Maybe somebody has higher experience, but realistically, we're applying. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're applying for an esports job, and they want a guy with a PhD in psychology. Good luck. I'd be shocked if the candidate that they end up on has those kind of qualifications. So for most of you, you're probably not applying to jobs of this level, but this will, like, watching this will give you all the skills that you need to apply to jobs of this level and below. Fried Eddie says a lot of bigger companies too will end up guiding you down those paths to get that higher education from a limited experience. Yes, I 100% agree. Many companies, and that's such a, he just put out such a huge point that if you are underqualified, stating that can't hurt you. Pretending that they're gonna ignore it will hurt you. But if you say, hey, I can solve this problem, I can build the framework, I can do this, but I don't have these qualifications quite yet. I'd be willing to learn. I'd be willing to develop myself. This is something I really want to do. Why do companies do that? They do it because they want to discourage a certain level of person from pursuing the job. So they want, so if they submit something with no heavy qualifications, they will get 400 apps or more, probably like 800 that they have to review. But most people will see this and they will not apply for the job just because they're like, oh, I don't meet the qualifications. Is it useless to send applications to a company that doesn't post that they're looking for new employees? That's a separate conversation. We've talked about it a little bit in the past. The answer there is to start networking with that company and see what they need. So the answer there is where you do the kind of 30-minute exercise I taught before, where you go try to find like the highest level manager or boss you can, and you go into them and you be like, hey, I'm trying to learn about your company, or like I'm trying to learn about your market or your industry. How do I pursue this? Like, what do I do? I just want like 30 minutes of your time. That's when you use that strategy. So I don't generally care about any of this. So the fact of the matter is, just to give you guys an example, right? I don't meet all the qualifications for this job. I don't have a master's in psychology or a PhD, right? I have a 4-year, but I don't have a master's in it. And I would kill this job. I would obliterate this job. This is so easy for me. I could do this and stream full time, no problem. Like, it's a super easy job for me, right? Like, these qualifications are all BS. Don't get scared away from this, because a lot of people will get scared away by qualifications, and then they will never apply for a job they could have really easily applied for. Sucks. Okay, so we got some info. All right, so let's start on our resume, and I'm going to show you dudes how I structure a resume. This is not formatted yet, so we're going to format it on stream too. Okay, so and one note, the way that I've designed these resumes are all based on like heat maps and like quantum psychology, job finding, rocket science stuff. So there's been a lot of work onto this. So it's pretty simple. You want to put your email here. We're going to hyperlink that. Put your LinkedIn here. Always have a LinkedIn. If you don't, then go do that right now. Space. That's right. Quantum psychology. Objective is centered. All this is centered. Everything one page. Small is okay. Okay. All right, now we're going to just do a little bit of formatting stuff. We're going to bold this. This is a link. This is bold. We're not necessarily going to keep this stuff, by the way. I'll explain why we center it in a minute. Right now, the centering is really bad. Okay. One page, always. Never do more than one page, no matter what. I always want, so I'm interested in where a person's eyes are going to go. Okay? I want them to be focused on the center of the page, starting here with the objective. Okay? This is actually a pretty good objective, so I'm going to keep that for now. And going down experience in the middle. And then education and training. I wouldn't center that, but I could. I think it looks worse, though. Actually, it looks okay. So if we center this, that's pretty good, too. And now the entire application is pretty streamlined. Okay. So this is pretty clean. However, a lot of our experience is not relevant right now. So what I want to do is I want to add Team Dignitas. So when I talk about centering, centering is important because of how eyes view a page. And if everything is on the left side, or some things are on the left and some things are on the right, and some things are in the bottom and some things are whatever, when a person, okay, this person is going to be reviewing maybe dozens of applications, right? So I need them to target my application as easily as possible, right? I need them to see it as easily as possible. Now, one thing I would really like to add to this that I don't have, and I haven't done before, but I have for my own personal resume, because I literally haven't applied for a job since like 2000, before 2004. So a picture is really good. A professional photograph picture. There are some people who do not think this is right. I absolutely think this is the right thing to do. And the reason is because it separates you from the rest of people. It's like the difference between Instagram and Twitter. When you look at someone, you suddenly have a conception of them. I couldn't help doing this. I would review hundreds of applications. I would always remember the people that took a picture, like more than I would remember people that didn't. It was a huge difference. It was like 50%. Oh man, it makes such a big difference. Always include a picture on your resume. I think it's a really big deal. So we would normally put like a picture over there, picture to the right. We'll type that, okay? Because I'm not going to do it. But if you can, always do it. I really think that's important. Okay. Next, basic contact information. LinkedIn, really important, right? And your LinkedIn should be professional. We'll go to mine. My LinkedIn has videos on it, has like my history on it. And oh, by the way, this should also be your full experience profile. So basically everything you've done ever that you want to have online. Some jobs you probably maybe you don't want to have online. But if they want, like, if the employer has a idea of like a better idea by going and getting your full resume and like knowing what you're about, LinkedIn is really good. So you definitely want to do LinkedIn and build that before you do anything or before you apply to any jobs. Should I have a completely serious face or should you smile? Smile. Like, be really friendly. Be as friendly as possible in your picture. Be happy. Be upbeat. Appeal to the emotion that person is going to be seeing. They want an upbeat, like, productive individual. Be professionally dressed, right? That kind of thing. Like, get actual photography. And, like, do this. Having a headshot with actual photography is really important. This is professional photography right here, right? So is my Twitter profile. Right? Looks really neat. So is this. Everything I do is that. Cool. Okay. So have a LinkedIn. All right. Objective. This is the most important part of the resume, in my opinion. Your objective should always be specific to the organization that you're joining. So I don't want to say, I put this as a template, right? To meaningfully contribute to Counterlogic Gaming. And now we put our notes up, right? I would say by building a comprehensive framework to comprehensive, maybe organization-wide, to help to develop, help is a weak word, to develop the world's best competitive players. Support players by utilizing my skills and passion developed in a lifetime of team development and gaming. This is a pretty strong ass objective, right? Like right away, this guy knows I'm not fucking around. I'm going to kind of like cut fat, which is good. If you watch my How to Write Well video, it's on my highlights in my channel on Twitch. You will see how to do that. So I'll say to contribute because I think it's stronger than meaningfully. I'll spell development right. Support players by utilizing my skills and passion developed through a lifetime of team development and gaming. Okay. So, this objective is so good. Let me explain why, right? Number one, we've basically hit on every point, right? We've hit on the guy because we know he's really passionate about competition. We've hit on the skills. And we've hit on the main objective of this job, which is to build a framework, right? And to do tracking and everything. So we said to contribute to Counterlogic Gaming, we specified the organization we're applying to by building a comprehensive organizational-wide framework. That's exactly what he asked for, right? To develop the world's best competitive players. We're hitting on his desire for competition. Support players by utilizing my skills and passion developed through a lifetime of team development and gaming. So now he also knows that I believe myself capable of doing this. This is an extremely strong objective. This objective will I can probably put anything else on this resume and I'll get an interview because I've already shown that you guys might think that some of this stuff is common sense. I don't know, but it's not. Like the number of people that don't do this, that don't specify the organization they're applying for, that don't actually read the freaking thing, that don't actually look at the qualification thing. It's shocking, right? I would say it's 9 out of 10 very easily. Maybe less than, I'd say 5% even get here. So you're already in the running if you do this. Yep. Depending on how you're listening, this might be on YouTube right now. Okay. So we already are off to one hell of a start. Okay. Fried Eddie says, I feel like a lot of people think the quantity of resumes is better than the quality. I absolutely agree because people say, here's people's thinking, right? Oh, he's not going to read my resume. I'm going to spend all this time building this resume and they're not even going to read it or they're just going to glance at it. And then all of my work will be for nothing, right? No. Don't ever think like that, right? What you do instead is you say, okay, I am super passionate about this job and do everything it takes to get this. And if he doesn't read my resume, I don't care because I learned something from writing this. That's how you need to take it. So you should, instead of trying to apply for 30, 45, or 100 jobs, you should be applying for 5 jobs. And you should work as hard as you can on that. Later on, I'm going to get into, you might want to consider even making a video. If you're charismatic enough, I would definitely make a video for something like this, and I would link it. in my resume. And I'd say, hey, I just did a short video just to tell you, just kind of show who I am. And there's a whole nother thing for that. It would have to be a whole separate podcast. Okay, so now I'm going to look at my experience. I selected 3 things that I thought were most relevant to the job. These are not all the things I've ever done. I've run a martial arts school. I've run several different companies. I've even had regular jobs. I worked at EB Games. If you guys remember that, GameStop it is now. Or GameStop bought them. I worked at a GameStop. I listened to TV on repeat of the same games every day. Lost my mind. I worked at a hotel. So I've done all that stuff, but I'm not putting that on here, right? Some people, they want to post their entire history of like what they've done. Doesn't matter. Or they want to like list it out. Doesn't matter. Mention the things that you think are most relevant to the job and structure these paragraphs to be relevant to the job. So all these are just filler right now. Like we're going to change all of it. I actually think the education and training section of the resume is way more important than the experience one. Experience just has to be there to show you kind of did something, that you're not like, not like a NEET or whatever. If you are a NEET, then, then I would say at that point you want to like actually look at like internships and like want to apply for things, see my working for free thing that I do. I talk about pretty frequently. You've run a martial arts school? Yep. It's called Shilyan Martial Arts. Now, when I say I've run a martial arts school, don't think that it's like I was on a mountaintop and I was like Pai Mei and I was like sitting there and like people would climb 15,000 feet to see me. And then I would be like, stop. Why do you wish to learn martial arts? They'd be like, I am passionate about learning the arts. And then I would like do a backflip or a front flip or double front flip. And then I would fight them. That'd be really awesome. But what I really did was like I rented out a space and then I just like posted a bunch of ads all over and started teaching people martial arts. Can you levitate? No, I can only be carried by people better at games than me. Do you add companies you got fired or quit without real reason? Often people will always ask why you leave those companies if you don't have a good answer. So this is more like interviewing techniques. I don't care personally. So what I'll do is I'll leave those people off the references because the references are the people they can call. They're not going to call company. That's actually like 5D chess. I never even thought of doing that. If you call companies in the experience thing, but not your references, that's like really crazy. No one will ever do that. They'll just call your references. Really smart people, very good employers. Like I will do this, and I did this very frequently, and I disqualified a lot of people because of it, but almost nobody will do this, so don't worry, is they will call the reference, then they will say, is there someone else he worked with that I can talk to that you know? And they'll say that to the reference. Then the reference will give me that person's number. I'll call that person who they didn't want on the list, and I'll find out some way different stuff about him. But that's super big brain. Like most people won't do that's like some Jack Bauer stuff, dude. Like most people won't even do that. But experts hiring for very high level positions who are trained like I am will do it. So to some extent you can't escape your past, but I would say probably less than 1% of employers do that. If requirements say that you need previous experience, it's impossible to get picked if you don't have experience. Yep. Again, don't be scared of qualifications. Yeah. I got a lot of people that way. It was really funny. A lot of people that they would have. So first of all, like I can, oh dude, I'm blowing myself up here. I'm stroking myself, but I'm so good at interviewing. The only reason I interview is I try to catch people in traps. That's the only thing. I'm so malicious about how I interview, dude. All I'm trying to do the whole time is catch people's red flags. So I'm looking for like psychological notes where it's like somebody will say, Yeah, like, dude, my last boss was such a shithead. Like, there was a lot of stuff. It was really hard to work for him, and then I'll know that's how that guy's gonna talk about me when I hire him, right? So I'll be like, red flag, boom, right? And maybe it would be beneficial later on to show how I do interviews. Because if you see how, because I think I'm literally one of the craziest interviewers ever. I'm like Machiavellian, dude. Like, most people, they go into an interview and they're like, okay, like, this employer like wants to talk to me and is interested in me. I want to destroy you. All I want to do is figure out what's wrong with you and just get the list. Oh, it's so good. Whenever I'm like, okay, I got it. I figured him out. Like, this is his actual deepest, darkest secret. I'm like, it's great. Do people talk shit about people they worked with in interviews? Like, over 50% of the time. Arrive in combat armor, yeah. But again, you won't usually get people like me interviewing. Like, I don't think a lot of people do this. Most of the people, they're just going to go through, they're going to go through like a standard list. I have a thing called the Who method of hiring. So, I don't know, maybe it's worth going through this. I still have it on my Evernote. Hang on. Let me switch back to my screen real quick. Just for fun, we'll go through this. I think you guys will just really get a laugh out of this. This is why I want to do this. I recorded all my interviews, so I have everything in my Counter Logic Gaming folder somewhere. Okay. Do not be scared off from this. Most people, nobody goes this ham. Okay, so I have 2 interview processes, okay? The first interview, I'll ask only 4 questions. First question, what are your career goals? And I ask these exactly the same way. I don't change it at all. Second question, what are you really good at professionally? Third question, what are you not so good at or not interested in doing professionally? And then fourth question, who are your last 3 bosses and how will they rate you on a performance scale of 1 to 10 when I talk to them? Okay, so that the wording on that is really specific, right? How will they each rate your performance on a scale of 1 to 10 when I talk to them? Meaning, I will talk to them, right? I will talk to them. It will not happen. It will not happen. Okay, and then later on, I think I added some questions that are fun, but I don't know if I can find them. Okay, so later on, and I'm not going to go at my second. So if you pass that, here are some things that I added that I thought were really cool. These are questions for fun if they get through the first 4, which almost nobody does. First one, what is something you believe that no one else does? So this is super interesting. I really like this question. I get some really good answers from this. One of the answers I got was bacon. They don't believe in bacon. Secondly, what is your spirit animal? Oh, and really important. I let everybody, they always ask for clarification. Like, what do you mean? What is a spirit animal? And I say, interpret the question however you want. And so, what is your spirit animal is the second one. And then the third one is, what is something that more than anything else gets you excited in your bones? Like, you just get so excited about it. And I get the most interesting answers to these questions. When I ask, like, what's your spirit animal? The number of, like, weird responses I get. Sometimes I get a fantasy animal. Sometimes I get an object. Sometimes I get a significant other. Sometimes I get, like, a Native American answer that goes really in depth. It's fascinating. It's really cool. Melixia is my spirit animal. That's what I'm talking about. I just answer I don't know. I don't think about these kind of things. I just disqualify you immediately because you have no creativity. Do you ever get a stoner answer to that? Oh, yeah. I got everything, dude. I interviewed hundreds of people, so I've gotten everything. Okay, and that's just the screen interview. And once you get past that, the second interview is a chronological walkthrough of that person's career, starting with the earliest job that they worked to present day. And I ask all kinds of ridiculously hard questions in that. And, dude, I will out anybody. You cannot hide anything from me, dude. I'm like the freaking sorting hat at Harry Potter. You put that shit on your head, I know who you are in an instant. You can't hide anything, dude. Okay, but anyway, nobody interviews like this. I just thought it would be fun to talk about. I have like a specific thing for references too. Don't ever worry about this. Nobody actually does this. Okay, so let's look at my experience that I put down for this. We put down Twitch TV, full-time partner caster at Twitch TV, as one of the top 10 League of Legends late-night streams. Believe it or not, I actually was for a while. The cast features high-level strategy analysis of League of Legends and how it applies to personal development and self-improvement in real life. Raise this cast on organic growth from 0 viewers to 700 to 1,000 inside of 6 months. Work to show that gaming can bring out the very best in us as people. So this is good. It doesn't really fit the job description, but we're going to leave this as experience. Yeah, I don't even know if a guy that was if a guy was interviewing me like I interview people, I don't even know if I would want to work for him. I'd be like, this guy might be just like too big brain, like he's thinking around stuff too much. I don't even know. The spirit animal thing is actually from a guy at Amazon. I didn't know Tim Ferriss said this also, but I was on a call with. This actually, it's going to be so unbelievable. Okay, somehow I got in front of, the way that Amazon works is they have levels, okay? So I think it's level 1 through 11, and everybody has a level in the organization. So like level 1, I think you're like one of those robots that like stocks things in their warehouses. I think levels 1 through 4 are all contractors. Then level 4, level 1 through 3. Level 4 is a like base level employee. 5 is like you manage a small team. 6 is like, and they're exponential. They're magnitude of levels. So 6 is like you manage a pretty large team. 7 you start to get into executives. 8, 9 VPs. 10 is like directors. Board. 11 is Bezos. Right? Only Bezos there. Anyway, somehow I got in front on a phone call with like a level 10 Amazon dude that was the head of all of Amazon affiliates. And I have no idea why this guy talked to me. Okay. And the first thing he says, I swear this happened. This guy was big, big, big. He must have probably individually, his department was probably over 20,000 employees. It was insane how many people this guy indirectly or directly owned. Okay. So I get on the call with this guy and I'm like, hey, I'm Devin, CEO of Counterlogic Gaming. I just want to say, and he shouts at the top of his lungs, what is your spirit animal? And I'm like, what? I'm stunned, right? And then I had an answer. I actually have an answer for that question, so I said it. And then he's like, okay. And then the entire conversation pursued completely normally. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was so shaken up by it. I was like, it messes with me so bad. I like woke up that night like 2 hours later and I'm like, oh, like that guy would like appear in my bedroom or something. I just don't understand to this day why that guy did that. And like why a person of such high, like I'm meaning like Super Saiyan Blue Goku, dude. Like I this guy is so high level. Why did he do this? Oh, man. Executives are real weird. I was so scared. That was insane. All right. So we did this one. Moving on. Heranda Ventures, company I used to run, leader of a small marketing advertising service specializing in online promotions for small and medium-sized businesses. Work involved includes consulting and advising on business development in many departments. So I don't think that this job is relevant. Worked in a partnership with Canadian Enterprise to market and sell online ebooks to consumers around the world. All this is basically would be really good for a marketing position, but I don't think this is good, so I'm actually going to delete this stuff. Rather, I'm going to copy and paste 2 new entries, and then I'm going to delete this stuff. And the relevant topics I'm going to use instead is I'm going to use Team Dignitas. Not going to use CLG. That'd be super cheating. And I'm going to type North America Regional Manager. And then I'm going to use... I don't know what to call it. Performance consulting is basically what I did for years and years. Okay, then we're going to delete these. So what I'm doing is I'm searching through my memory bank of relevant experience, and I'm going to try to find the things that I think are going to fit this job the best. Can you enlarge this a little? I don't know how to do that. I know how to do that. Okay. So for the Team Dignitas North Regional Manager, now again, look, at this entire time, right, we have our notes up. And we know what we're going after. So we know he wants a framework, right? And we know he wants goal-based tracking. So built a framework, literally built a framework for Team Dignitas LCS team to perform in... usually what I do when I write is I just like write things first, I correct it later. To perform in the LCS. This is a really terrible sentence, but we'll edit it later. Just to get it out there, right? Tracked goals, monitored physical and mental health, and assisted players daily in competitive issues. Team accomplished 11-1 win rate 1 month after I joined, which actually happened. And then as soon as I left, they lost a lot. But I wouldn't say it was all me. Let's see. Build a framework for a team news. Okay, good. Performance coaching. Consulted and assisted dozens of individuals in peak performance coaching concerning their physical, mental, and spiritual growth. Developed goals, right? Because again, goal-based tracking in progress. Developed goals and encouraged progress for these individuals. Again, our writing is bad, I know. We'll fix it. Developed goals and encouraged progress for these individuals. Assisted multiple individuals in, I don't like how many times I'm using individuals, but again, stop thinking about writing. Okay, all right, just write. Assisted multiple individuals in accomplishing these programs and growing to be the strongest versions of themselves. Okay. Strongest? Yeah. All right. Do I like this stuff? Graduated from Sierra Nevada College, a degree in entrepreneurship and a focus on business administration. Yep, I like that. Also graduated with a degree in psychology with a focus on humanistic transpersonal studies. Okay, good. I'm not graduated with honors from Futures High School. I don't like putting GPA here because I didn't put it in my college. I think I didn't put it here because my GPA in college was probably bad or not remarkable, so I just don't include it. Numerous personal developments and business seminars, books and classes, taken extracurricular sessions, and a lifetime of building organic businesses at 16 years old. Includes reading over 700 personal development or personal and organizational development books. Very strong proficiency. Oh, I used very. God. Strong proficiency in marketing, advertising, PR, experience consulting small businesses, teams, and small organizational groups on issues of team and corporate culture and personal development, professional training and physical mental curriculums, extremely proficient in all computer systems and devices, proficiency in hiring, creating, and reviewing resumes. I don't know why I would have this here, because if he thinks my resume sucks, he can use that as a excuse. I don't think that's good. Okay, we can make a space here, and I can still... Wait, maybe 2 spaces? No, that needs 2 spaces to be separate. Maybe this one here, so we're still at 1 page. Okay. Okay, so we're starting to see the structure of a pretty good resume, aren't we? You can see I'm starting to kind of specify a lot of my stuff to their specifications and what they want. Now I'll take a small note and I'll say I assume that I'm probably able to utilize experience from my past that a lot of people can't do because they just don't have the same breadth of experience. But what I would say is that you shouldn't underestimate yourself and that you should think about all the things you've done in your life. These don't need to be jobs necessarily, right? Experience is a big word. Experience can mean jobs, but it can also mean maybe that time you volunteered, maybe that time you went to a camp and you learned the skill. If you really are search your database, search your feelings for something that resonates with the type of thing that these people want. And I think you'll find something in your life that can apply. So don't be intimidated because I have a heck of a lot of experience. It's not because of that I would get a job like this. You can do this no matter what your experience is. Also keep in mind, I'm applying to a pretty high-level executive position. So in that sense, it's going to be stuff that is, I'm going to have to like kind of pull out some bigger guns, right? Let me address some questions if there are. Why are you making a resume? Well, my dreams for streaming didn't work out. We didn't get enough Twitch Prime subs, so I'm applying for a job at Counterlogic Gaming. What is the cutoff for GPA? I don't know, 3.5. I mean, it's probably pretty subjective. Some people care, some people don't. It's probably better just to not include it. I've been told forever that Eagle Scout is a really big thing to have on a resume, but I'm going into software development. Yes, always, always, always put your Eagle Scout thing on the resume. That's a huge deal. Really big deal. Seriously, it's really good. Yes, put a picture on your resume. Yes. Okay. Why did you remove that part about proficiency in hiring? Because it can't add anything to the actual conversation. Especially relevant to, again, like the type of job that we're applying for is a team development job, right? This is going to be a job that is very close to dealing with players and dealing with people. And I guess like the reason it's hard to explain is because it's like it's like a higher level concept. So like what I'm talking about is I always want to trim the most amount of fat possible from the resume, right? This is a lot of information for someone to absorb, even on one page, right? I want them to hit my objective as much as I possibly can. I want them to get to the to read the objective, and then this stuff is kind of like I want to keep this as like short as possible. Same with this stuff. And like again, like we're going to go through this entire resume and we're going to cut everything down. The least amount of information possible because I want this person to read this stuff as much as possible. Does that make sense? Or did I just say something that made no sense? Why is Eagle Scout important? To me, it just seems childish. Okay. This is a great question. So, Eagle Scout demonstrates that you can do things that other people can't do. To become an Eagle Scout, you need to have a lot of discipline and you need to be able to stick to something. One of the most important things that employers are looking for is, are you going to stick with me? I'm going to invest a lot of time and money and training into your development. I may even pay for your education. I may even have options in my company, and you're going to cost me a lot of money. If I know that you're going to be out the door in 3 months, why would I ever hire you, right? What an Eagle Scout shows is that you've taken the time to do something difficult and to exceed at something. That's really important. It's really important to demonstrate that when you're looking for a job. Okay, I don't like a lot of this. But I like some of it. Full-time partner caster at Twitch is strong because it shows that we actually like are a partner and not like a 0 viewer streamer. Top 10, I might actually keep this too. And how it applies to personal development, self-improvement in real life. So, the growth metrics don't really. I think that this resume was probably originally a marketing resume, and that's why I had like all that this kind of strong proficiency in marketing stuff. This stuff is things that this one I might mark red because I'm a little bit worried about it. I think this can go. Worked with players and viewers to show that gaming can bring the very best out in us as people. This like sounds good, but it doesn't really mean anything. I'm a big fan of like meaning what you say and saying things that are objective. Don't put like a lot of like flowery words. This does him no use to read, so I don't like it. So worked with players and viewers to demonstrate actionable ways to improve at the game. This is a lot more specific, kind of shows what the broadcast was about, and also goes back into our theme of working with players and interpersonal skills, which are things that we already scoped out for the job, right? Okay. I like this. This is pretty strong so far. Would something like training in martial arts for several years and obtaining a higher rank be put on a resume? Absolutely, Inkrepid. That's a great answer. That's a great question. If I had less experience relevant to this, I would definitely put on like my martial arts school or that I was like instructor level. Yeah, Eagle Scout is like the level of, it's like equivalent to like a college degree for kids. It's crazy. If I was Diamond in League, do I put that on a resume? If you're applying for like an analyst position, yeah. What martial arts did you do? All kinds of stuff. Shaolin Kempo, Aikido, Seido Ryu, a little bit of Krav Maga, like 2 years. A lot of stuff. So graduated with a degree in entrepreneurship, focused on business administration. Also graduated with a degree in psychology with a focus in humanistic transpersonal psychology. Okay, that's probably fine. Nothing there. Graduated with honors from high school. I mean, that's good. If I wanted to save a line, I almost don't need this. Because the only reason I would keep this is the honors. I think that's the only reason why it's strong. But if I need to actually like, so you're always competing for space because you only have one page. So if I needed to save some lines, I would take this out. I'm not going to because I like the honors thing is strong. And it also implies like a long history of success, which is good too. Numerous personal development and business development seminars, books, and classes, taken extracurricular sessions, and a lifetime building organic businesses since 16 years old. This is pretty strong. Reading over 700 organizational development books. I like this too because this is something that most people probably won't believe, and this is probably a question that would come up in your interview for anybody that read this. They say, "Wait a minute, did you really read 700 personal development books? Like that's kind of like unbelievable." And so, and I'd say, yeah, I did. Like, I really did that. It took me like, years and years and years. And I did like this and this and this. And maybe that would be a lead in to talk about some books or some things that I read. So I like putting like kind of, if you've done some kind of like fantastic stuff in your life, kind of cool to put that in. Strong proficiency in marketing, advertising, PR is really not relevant to the job. So what I'll say instead is strong proficiency in team building, people development. Is that a word? What do you guys think is a better word for that? Wouldn't they assume that you're exaggerating or lying if you put that in? I don't think so. A resume that's already this professional has gained clout, right? I've already earned the right to be taken seriously because I have a very powerful objective statement that we talked about earlier. So I think at this point, if I say something like this, it appears more pretty fantastic and kind of interesting than it does like kind of shady. Human development's good. Yeah. I don't want to say player development. I think that's like a little bit too specific. Team building, human development, and goal setting. Yeah. Chile says they'll weed out your BS in an interview if that's what happens. I think so too. Yeah. Okay, I'm okay with that sentence now. Experience consulting small businesses, teams, and small organizational groups of 1 to 6 people. Also, yeah, there's so many subtleties that I need to hit on that I'm trying to hit on, like that I just kind of like think about and I don't verbalize. So like that 1 to 6 people is really specific too, because it shows that I can work with small teams very well. And how many people are on a League of Legends team, right? On issues of team and corporate culture and personal development, professional training and physical and mental fitness curriculums, extremely proficient in all computer systems and devices and logistics systems required to operate a business. So I think it's important to put proficiency in computers somewhere on your resume, always, because by doing that, you show that you can like use Word and like you can like use email and stuff. That's like really important to do. All right. I am pretty confident in this resume. I think this resume will get an interview. Every job, put your computer skills down. All you guys are on Twitch. You're already using better Twitch TV. You're all proficient. You can all type coggers. That's amazing. There's a huge amount of people that can't even type coggers. They have no idea what coggers is. Always, always put your computer experience on your resume. All right. Any questions, comments, whatever on this until we move on? He could have hired someone to type his resume for him from Fiverr or something. Depending on the job I'm hiring for, I might be really impressed if someone did that. Every job, if you're applying to be a waiter, talk about your computer skills. Every job, it matters. Do you put a phone contact? Yeah, that's address line 1 and 2. Put it up here. So this should be like where you live, and this should be like phone. Picture. Actually, what I would do on this resume, put your picture here, and then put your phone here. Okay, so just to review, very easy information. LinkedIn to get more information about me, right? So any information that I had to leave out of my resume because I'm limited to one page, anything is going to be on my LinkedIn, and my LinkedIn is professionally done. I have a lot of I've read over 1,000 books. I don't know if that's true. I stopped counting at 700. I think that's probably not true. Okay, anyway, my full experience is here, right? This is a professional profile. Shows me doing stuff. Really cool. Okay, I'm in the business world. Did I buy all those books? The vast majority of them, yeah. I bought, and not just not Kindle books either, because I read almost all these books I read like physically. So right now I have 3 bookshelves worth of books, and I've been downsizing like crazy. I eventually need to move completely to Kindle. I probably only read like 100 Kindle books, and yeah, I've read so many physical books. Man, yeah, it was a lot of money. Some books were given to me, but not many. Back then, I didn't really know anybody. Cool. So just a quick review. So again, LinkedIn is here. More information available. Easy contact information, easy clap, right? Picture here. Picture always good on resume. Phone number here, very easy to contact. Objective is specific to the organization I'm applying to and specific to the requirements of the job that were posted on the job, right? So most important thing, develop an organizational-wide approach for optimal player training and scheduling. That's why they put that first, right? So what am I doing? Comprehensive organizational-wide framework to developing the world's best competitive players, right? I've shown that I've read the application, that I understand it, that I believe I'm capable of doing it, and that I'm triggering all of the points that make me the most optimal for this job. Support players by utilizing my skills and passion developed through a lifetime of team development and gaming. This is an extremely interesting thing that makes me want to learn more about this person. Okay, we replaced some of our relevant experience. We centered everything down the line so that it's easy to read. We wrote in experience that is specific to the requirements of the job. And all this experience is directly relevant. Okay, then in education and training, we did the same thing. The graduation stuff is pretty standard. We can't change that. But these two we can change. We showed that we have extreme interest in personal development, and that we have a strong proficiency in team building, human development, and goal setting, which are 3 of the requirements that the job asked for, right? Goal-based tracking, team development, and what was the other one? Human development, right? Experience consulting small businesses, teams, and small organizational groups, right? So we showed that we can coach teams. We showed that we have, and we showed that we're proficient in computer systems. References are always available on request. We're going to put Hotshot GG here with his phone number when I submit the app, right? But normally it's going to be available on request. And that is how to make a AAA resume that is almost guaranteed to get you an interview.